In today's debate, we will be looking at two of the most powerful monsters in all of fiction. They are both incredibly strong, durable, and possess many abilities that make them formidable opponents. But only one can be the strongest. So who will it be? The mighty Minotor or the deer monster from 99 Nights? Now, to put this into context, we will be taking both characters at their strongest and most powerful forms. We will also be putting them up against each other in a battle to the death with no prep time. All right, let's begin. The first contestant is a creature so powerful that even the gods themselves were afraid of him. His name was Minotaur, and he was the son of Zeus himself and a member of the Olympian pantheon. As a child, his father sent him to live with King Minos on the island of Crete. However, because of his monstrous appearance, King Minos' wife, Queen Pasiphae, fell madly in love with him. This led to the birth of another monster, the half-bull, half-human hybrid known as the Minotaur. This creature was so terrifying that it had to be locked away in a labyrinth beneath the city of Knossos. In fact, it was said that the Minotaur's roar could shake the foundations of the labyrinth, and that its mere presence inspired terror in the hearts of all who heard it. And rightfully so, because whenever anyone entered the labyrinth, they would never come out alive. The Minotaur's strength was such that he could overpower any human who dared to enter his domain. He was also incredibly agile and could move with surprising speed for such a large creature. Additionally, he possessed sharp horns and powerful legs that he used to great effect in battle. But perhaps what made the Minotaur truly formidable was his sheer size. He was a massive beast standing over 7 feet tall and weighing more than 2 tons. It is said that when the Minotaur charged into battle, the ground trembled beneath his feet, and that his massive body was covered in thick, hard scales that were impervious to most weapons. The only way to defeat such a monster was to outsmart it. And that is exactly what Theseus did. He volunteered to be sacrificed to the beast, but instead killed the Minotaur with his sword. Next up, we have the deer monster. Now, unlike the Minotaur, the origins of the deer monster are shrouded in mystery. What we know about him comes from the legends and myths that have been passed down through generations. According to these stories, the deer monster was a creature of immense power and ferocity, capable of great feats of strength and endurance. It was said that its antlers were so large and sharp that they could pierce the hides of even the toughest animals, and its hooves were like hammers that could smash boulders to pieces. The deer monster was also incredibly fast and agile, able to leap over trees and strike with lightning speed. The deer monster's skin was as tough as iron, and it was immune to most forms of magic. Even the most powerful wizards could not harm it with their spells and curses. It was only by exploiting its one weakness that hunters were able to take down such a beast. And that weakness was its pride. You see, the deer monster was a very arrogant and boastful creature. It loved to taunt its enemies and revel in its own strength and power. And this proved to be its downfall when it encountered the hero Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was no ordinary man. He was a demigod, the offspring of a god and a mortal, and he possessed superhuman strength, speed, and durability. He was also a skilled warrior and an even greater strategist. And unlike the deer monster, Gilgamesh was not consumed by his own ego and pride. He was humble and wise and knew how to use his powers wisely. When Gilgamesh challenged the deer monster to a fight, the creature laughed at first, thinking that it would be an easy victory. But as the battle raged on, it became clear that Gilgamesh was a worthy opponent. The hero fought with honor and courage, and his attacks were swift and deadly. The deer monster's arrogance began to turn to fear, and it started to panic. The creature tried to flee, but Gilgamesh was too quick for it. He chased it through the forest, over mountains, and across rivers, and finally cornered it in a cave. There, in the darkness of the cave, the deer monster's pride shattered, and it begged for mercy. But Gilgamesh was not a cruel god. He had already won the victory he needed to prove his strength, and he did not wish to take the life of a creature that was now afraid and helpless. Instead, he offered the deer monster a chance to redeem itself. If it could bring him back a magical plant from the depths of the sea, he would spare its life. The deer monster accepted the challenge and dove into the water. But it soon realized that the task was impossible. The plant it sought was guarded by a terrible sea monster, and the deer monster was no match for that beast. It fought bravely, but was eventually slain, and its body sank to the bottom of the sea. Gilgamesh returned to the surface and retrieved the deer monster's carcass. He dragged it back to the cave and offered its body to the creature as former followers as a sacrifice to their gods. Thus, the legend of the deer monster came to an end. But which of these two monsters do you think would win in a battle? Let me know your thoughts. And to help you decide, I will be going over some of the main reasons why I believe the Minotaur would win in a one-on-one fight to the death against the deer monster. Reason no. 1. The Minotaur is a giant. Just look at the difference in size between the two. Clearly, the Minotaur is much bigger and stronger than the deer monster. And that is not just my opinion. There are many ancient texts that talk about the Minotaur's immense size and strength. For example, the poet Stasinus described the Minotaur as being the size of 4 men. That is truly incredible and gives us a good idea of the kind of power we are dealing with here. Reason number 2, the Minotaur is immortal. Now you may be asking, how can that be? Didn't Theseus kill him? Well, yes, Theseus did slay the Minotaur, but that didn't actually defeat him. See, the thing is the Minotaur is the son of Zeus, and as we all know, gods don't really die. Sure, they might get banished or sent to Tartarus, but ultimately, they always find a way to come back. In fact, after the Minotaur was killed, his skin was flayed and used as a trophy by King Minos. So yeah, I would say that the Minotaur is definitely immortal. Reason no 3. The Minotaur is too durable for the deer monster to beat. As I mentioned earlier, the Minotaur's skin was so tough that it was almost impenetrable. Not even swords or spears could pierce it. And it was also resistant to fire and poison. To make matters worse for the deer monster, the Minotaur could regenerate from almost any wound, no matter how deep or how nasty it was. This meant that the deer monster would have to deal with a creature that never bled out or died, no matter how much damage it inflicted. No. 4. The Minotaur has super strength. The Minotaur was not only a giant, but he was also incredibly strong. He could toss chariots like they were toys and break boulders with ease. He was also incredibly fast and agile for his size. And he could charge forward with such force that the ground shook beneath his feet. Simply put, the Minotaur was a powerhouse who could defeat any opponent in a one-on-one fight. And reason number 5, the Minotaur has super senses. The Minotaur's eyesight was so keen that he could spot prey from miles away. And his hearing was so acute that he could pick up even the slightest sound. This meant that the deer monster would have nowhere to hide from the Minotaur's wrath. The Minotaur would be able to track it down no matter where it went. And once he got his claws into it, there would be no escape. So there you have it, 5 reasons why the Minotaur would win in a fight against the deer monster. Do you agree with my assessment? Let me know your thoughts. Now, if you want to see another one of my debates, go ahead and click one of the videos on the screen. Thank you for watching.